Hello there everybody, it's your old pal Cape Joel back again with another brief guide video. It's been another week, which of course means another brand new Marvel rollout initiative, and this one is called Marvel Fresh Start. Perhaps not the most inspired of names, but you know, they say they want a fresh start, they want to start over again, and this time they really mean it. C2E2 just ended as I record this video, so we now finally have a fuller, more complete look at what the new rollout of titles and creative teams is going to be for this initiative, and I figured it might be fun, as we have done in the past, if I sit down with you all, take a closer look at it, tell you what I'm excited about, tell you what you should be excited about, and give you a better feeling for what you can expect on comic shelves very, very soon. And here I have my list up here somewhere. We're gonna go in semi-alphabetical order for a change. Won't that be fun? Alright, so leading with the big guns, we have Amazing Spider-Man issue number 1. Yes, that's right, we're getting renumberings for these books, but, as we found out at C2E2, as we found out at the Marvel press conference, there will be legacy numbering on books, and there'll be new numbering on books. So even though this says Amazing Spider-Man number 1, apparently they'll also have 801 written on it somewhere too, so you can keep up with it. Now, the creative team on this one is something that I had been asking for a very, very long time. The book will be helmed by Nick Spencer with art by Ryan Ottley. Now, Nick Spencer is a guy who I loved for his work on stuff like Ant-Man, Superior Foes, books that really showed that, man, this guy is funny and he's a dude who can really write lovable schlubs. And I know there's a strong contingent of fans who love Spider-Man when he is a lovable, down on his luck schlub. Another interesting thing about this run we discovered via C2E2, apparently he's going to have the black suit. He's going to get the black suit in issue 100, Dan Slott's final issue, and he's going to keep it into this one. There's also going to be some potential alien invasion stuff, and why, yes, if you were a fan of the Superior Foes of Spider-Man, which, you know, was goddamn hilarious, one of the best, most underrated books that Marvel has done in a long time, they're going to have a special free comic book day issue to get you all hyped for this new Amazing Spider-Man run. Sign me the hell up for this one. Most definitely excited for Amazing Spider-Man under Nick Spencer. I think enough time has passed, and even the people who are still, you know, mad at him for Secret Empire, which I don't know why you would be mad, I still really enjoyed that storyline for what it was. I think this is a time to get into Spider-Man if you haven't been before. I know my podcast co-host Matt hasn't been reading a lot of Spider-Man, but he most definitely wants to hop into this one. Now, speaking of bugged-themed superheroes, and we were, from there we have a brand new miniseries, Ant-Man and Wasp number 1 from Mark Waid. Hey, isn't it funny that we're getting an Ant-Man and Wasp book just in time for the Ant-Man and Wasp movie? This is Nadia Pym Wasp, though, but what's interesting about this is that it says in the solicitation that her name isn't Nadia Pym anymore, it's Nadia Van Dyne. So Janet Van Dyne has fully adopted this Wasp now and even given her her name. That's interesting, though. Hey, my ex-husband's kid I didn't know about, I somehow have a good relationship with you, and here, take my last name, and here, take up my identity. Why don't you while you're at it? That could be good. You know, it's funny, too, to see Ant-Man teamed up with this Wasp, because, you know, he kind of has a sidekick in his daughter. I wonder if Casey Stature, or Stinger, I forget what identity she had at the end of that last Ant-Man run, I wonder what she has to think of this. Her dad basically teaming up with a new, younger female sidekick. Is she going to be jealous? I'd be jealous if my dad teamed up with another sidekick, and here I am with powers. That should be fun, and it's a mini. A lot of these books we're going to be talking about are minis, actually, and I think I'm not telling tales out of school by saying that if any of these are particularly popular, I'm sure they will go for bigger, longer series once all of that is said and done. Next up, we have The Avengers number 1, courtesy of Jason Aaron, another creative team that I have just been, you know, begging for to happen. Jason Aaron, of course, has been killing everything they've given him at Marvel recently. His Thor run has been, you know, one of the best, most well-received sagas in recent memory. He's not done yet. He's still going. This is also return to form for, you know, the Avengers team that most people have been asking for. It's Iron Man who's back. It's Thor Odin's son who's back. It's Captain America Steve Rogers who's back, and also they say this book is going to have, like a shifting team, like it's not always going to be the same lineup, but the lineup that they're touting on the cover has some pretty interesting choices in there. You got Black Panther. Hey, he has the biggest movie in the world right now. Captain Marvel, she has a new movie coming out, so she should definitely be on this one. She-Hulk, which is an interesting choice. I've always really loved Jen Walters, and I appreciate her being the new muscle for this team, especially as when we discuss Hulk later on, they're kind of going in a different, less friendly direction with him, so it makes sense why he wouldn't be on the team. Doctor Strange is there, and also Robbie Reyes the Ghost Rider, a character who I, no pun intended, carried a torch for a very long time. I always thought they could have done so much more with him, and it seems that he is going to be on this Avengers team now, probably because one of the other marching orders of this Avengers book, besides consolidating all the Avengers books into one, you won't have 4 anymore, you will have one Avengers book now, and it will be this one. Supposedly Aaron is going to be going back to the well of what he did in Marvel Legacy #1, and the whole, Avengers 10 million BC, the original Avengers team, and all that stuff coming with the Dark Celestials and all of this other stuff. So, if you were really into that story and you wanted to see where it's going to go, this is the book you have to be reading, is what they're saying. And I'm glad that they're putting a AAA team on Avengers, and they're really trying to make Avengers a book you need to read now, because I think one of the problems with the last couple reboots of Marvel is you didn't really need to read Avengers. Nothing really important happened in it that you would be lost if you didn't read it. I'm glad that they are finally making it a flagship title again. Good on you guys for that. Now, with the A's all out of the way, let's move to the B's. Black Panther is getting a brand new #1, still written by Ta-Nehisi Coates. They're not thrown in the towel on him just yet. This is the big cosmic Black Panther story. This is the big Wakandan cosmic empire thing that they've been teasing. Since like the end of Hickman's Avengers, they've been talking about Black Panther and the Wakandans going to space. It makes a lot of sense from a story point of view, because you figure they're all about the vibranium. They love this metal so much. It's so important to their identity as a people. It came from space, and yet no one has had the idea, hey, let's trace the origin of vibranium. Let's see where it goes. Let's go to space. Also, the idea of the Wakandans building an empire and becoming colonizers, that is going to lead to some interesting storylines, because obviously Wakanda as a superpower and as a place, it's so interesting because they repelled colonial influences for so long, and they've never been conquered, and they've never been part of any empire but their own. To see them maybe become the colonizers themselves, that's an interesting place to go. I am interested in that. I kind of fell off Ta-Nehisi Coates' Black Panther book as it was. I felt like, he was having a rough time transitioning from a dude who wrote novels and wrote articles to being a guy who wrote comic books. But from what I understand, he's grown by leaps and bounds, and this definitely looks like it's going to be a pretty interesting story. And you know what? We're going to be seeing a lot of Ta-Nehisi Coates too, because he is also going to be leading the charge for Captain America now. Yeah, Ta-Nehisi Coates is going to be writing Captain America, and I gotta say, it's a pretty bold choice right there for Cap. I mean, Ta-Nehisi Coates, here's a guy who has a pretty damn interesting perspective on what it means to be American and what it means to come to America and all this other stuff and existing in the modern age. He said something very profound in an interview. He said, it's not so much about me putting my words in the mouth of Captain America. It's about putting Captain America's words in my head and filtering them on the page. I think that's going to be pretty cool, and obviously we have this, great Alex Ross cover art right here. It definitely looks to be a return to form. We're probably going to be seeing a lot of old characters come back into the fold. This could be exciting. I will definitely want to check this out. I have often said about Captain America, he is an integral part of the Marvel Universe. You always want him there for the big events. You always want to get Steve's point of view. But even still, even after his long history, there's maybe only like a handful of Captain America stories and runs that I would say are must-read. And here's hoping this falls into the must-read category. That was my problem with the current Mark Waid run. It was fine, it was good even, but I wouldn't call it a must-read. So here's hoping that Ta-Nehisi Coates can deliver a must-read Captain America. Also, coming up next, we have Cosmic Ghost Rider, another miniseries spinning out of the pages of the Thanos book that's being written right now by Donny Cates. I'm waiting for all of that to be done to get caught up in trade, but apparently this Cosmic Ghost Rider who is also the Punisher. You know, he's a real breakout character. People are really liking him. They're really digging him. He's got a cool design. There's no doubt about that. And once again, it's only a 5-issue miniseries. But if it sells well, if they prove there's an audience for it, do not be surprised at all if it turns into a newer ongoing. Actually, too, this book, again, it has Cosmic right in the title, and a lot of these titles definitely seem to say that Marvel Fresh Start is looking to the stars, is looking to space, is looking to science fiction for reference. So, you know, if you are a fan of Marvel Cosmic, boy, Fresh Start's going to be a good time for you, because it seems like there's a lot of stuff going that way. From Cosmic Ghost Rider, we have Deadpool, issue number 1 from Scotty Young. Scotty Young, of course, a very funny writer in his own right. People probably know him best now from I Hate Fairyland, but he's written lots of Marvel stuff before, drawn it too. He had a Rocket Raccoon series that was really well received. He's doing this now, and judging just by the cover alone, it's Deadpool blowing a big green snot bubble in his mask. They're definitely letting it known, hey, we're going back to comedy. We're going pure comedy on this one, where the current Jerry Duggan run, which I loved, and I'm going to say, you know, that 5-year run is kind of what made me a Deadpool fan. I wasn't really one before. That was more dramedy, and that series is quickly wrapping up, and it looks like we're coming here now, so hey, happy days ahead for Deadpool. I don't know if I'm going to stick with it, because I'm a very particular Deadpool fan. I'm a very odd Deadpool fan. I like sad clown Deadpool, not lol random Deadpool, and only time will tell what direction Scotty Young is going there. From there, we head on over to Doctor Strange. This one will also be written by Mark Waid, and hey, surprise, surprise, this one will also be something of a cosmic tale. It seems that Stephen Strange is going into space to try and trace the origins of magic in the Marvel Universe, and that makes a lot of sense, because the architects of Marvel, when they were creating the universe back in the day, Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, Steve Ditko, they were very much into the chariot of the gods theory, and that anything magical and anything fantastical had its roots in space. So yeah, it makes sense for Doctor Strange to go there. Also, Doctor Strange and Mark Waid are no stranger to one another, pun intended. I didn't mean to do that, but I did. He wrote a story before with Stephen Strange, and he had gave him like a kind of sort of daughter, kind of like a Triana Orpheus, if we want to Venture Brothers it up. I know my buddy Sal has been saying, and I 100% agree, do not be shocked if that character shows up again, and if you see Doctor Strange with a kid. Next up from there, we have Fantastic Four from Dan Slott. Yes, people have asked, people have begged, people have demanded, and the first family of Marvel is returning, which makes me think that, yeah, they must have inked those good deals with Fox and everything to make that happen. After, you know, essentially cutting off their own nose to spite their face for many years, the Fantastic Four are back. And I think this is a really good time for them to come back. If you've been reading Chip Zdarsky's Marvel 2-in-1, that's been awesome. That's been really, really good. And I mean, I guess we now know how that story has to end if the Fantastic Four are coming back. And it looks to be the full team. It's Sue, Reed, and the kids. And the kids look a little older now. Interesting. So time has clearly passed in the universe since the end of Secret Wars and everything. Or, yeah, since that storyline finished up, since they were going around rebuilding planets, rebuilding universes. I wonder, how have they changed in that time? What will it be like going forward? Now that we have the Fantastic Four back, is it only a matter of time before Doctor Doom breaks bad again and goes evil? I would think yes, especially, you know, if it's true and they do have the rights back to this franchise and they are working super hard to try and get a new movie off the ground, it would only make sense that that's where they're going to go with it. You know, I've been uninterested by Dan Slott on Spider-Man for a long time now. He's been on it for over a decade, and I think people forget, you know, no, when he started, it was really good, guys. It was actually quite good. He's an idea man. He's a big picture guy. I think he's exactly what Fantastic Four need. I can only imagine this is also going to be a cosmic book. Dan Slott, of course, had a very long, very fan-favorite-y Silver Surfer run, so I'm sure we'll see the Silver Surfer back in this. You know, mark my words, that's going to happen at some point. But hey, this also isn't the last we're going to see of Dan Slott, because he got 2 big assignments. But next up, we're going to talk about The Immortal Hulk from Al Ewing. Fan favorite Al Ewing, who works so hard and tries so hard, and yet his books never seem to make it that long, and that's a real shame. This is kind of an interesting reworking of the Hulk that is both fresh and new, but also kind of familiar. If you have been reading Avengers No Surrender, the weekly Avengers series, which you should because it's really good. They brought Banner back. They brought the Hulk back, but he's brought a whole bunch of new baggage with him. You know, the Immortal Hulk stems from this idea that Banner had tried to kill the Hulk and it didn't work. In fact, the Hulk, they tried to kill him numerous times and it's just never worked. Maybe he's immortal, and also he's super strong now and super smart and kind of acting in his own self-interest. And they kind of said this book was going to have a horror theme. It was going to have a bit of like a paranormal thing to it, where Banner is kind of walking the highways and byways of America, much like he did in the old TV show, much like he did in the 60s, much how people, know the Hulk walking down the street with the sad music. He's going to, try and point the ferocity of the Hulk in the direction of people that deserve it. And I think, that's kind of interesting. And also, because he's kind of on the run still, that's why he's not an Avenger at the moment. He's trying to get away from that superhero side of himself. He's trying to, go more ferocious in his battle against crime and villainy. Sign me up for it. I love the Hulk. The Hulk is probably one of my favorite Marvel characters of all time. Didn't really dig the Amadeus Cho book, and that was no fault of that book, its writer, its creative team. It's just, I didn't want to read a Teenage Hulk. I just didn't. I know they tried really hard near the end to be like, well, what if we give Amadeus Cho adult Hulk problems? I'm like, well, then you're kind of betraying your own thing that you started with. It just was not my cup of tea. This definitely sounds more like my cup of tea. We got another miniseries after that, another 5-part miniseries, The Life of Captain Marvel, written by Margaret Stohl, who I think is writing Captain Marvel at the moment right now. This kind of seems to be, hey, let's redo retcon Carol Danvers' origin story just in time for the movie and provide a good jumping on point for people who need it. And you know what? I need it. I've fallen off since the Kelly Sue DeConnick years. I'm not afraid to say it. I've fallen off on Captain Marvel, but I want to get back on. And this definitely seems what they seem to be providing here. A chance to get back into it and a chance to relive it. From there, we have a Multiple Man series from Matthew Rosenberg. Man, I love Matthew Rosenberg. He's one of my favorite new writers. He wrote that kick-ass Kingpin series. He's actually doing an amazing job on Punisher right now. He did that Jean Grey miniseries from not too long ago that a lot of X-Men fans really seem to enjoy and really seem to recommend to me. I don't know very much about Multiple Man. I know he's a cult favorite hero, and there was rumblings and there was talk there that they might have been trying to develop a Multiple Man movie at Fox with James Franco, but that's probably fallen through now. Maybe this is a relic of that. Maybe this is a leftover of that. I don't know. Should be fun. Should be interesting. Matthew Rosenberg, he's taken, some concepts that shouldn't work before and made them work. So, hey, I'm excited for that one. I'll give that one a try. And speaking of weird Dark Horse ones, Quicksilver, No Surrender, yet another X-Men 5-part miniseries courtesy of Saladin Ahmed, who, of course, was blowing people's minds with his Black Bolt work. He made that, one of the must-read best books of last year. He's going to be writing Exiles very soon. That comes out next week, actually, as I sit and record this one. You know what? I didn't think he'd make Black Bolt as good as it was, and you know what? If you can make that magic happen twice with Quicksilver, more on you, buddy. It's funny, we don't actually see a lot of reworkings of the X-Men books. I guess they can't because they've already, rebooted and restarted them too much. I guess blue, gold, red is what we're going to be stuck with right now. I bet you, though, if I had to throw some ideas here, I bet by the end of this story, if everything is going the way we think it is, by the end of this story, we'll eventually find out, oh, hey, Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, Magneto actually is your dad. We retconned it away, and now we're retconning it back. It's interesting that it's carrying the No Surrender title at the end of it, because if you're reading Avengers No Surrender now, Quicksilver is one of the more main characters in that story, and he's currently tracking a beam that's moving so fast that no one else can see. I wonder if this is a continuation of that, or if they just wanted to build on the character development that he got in No Surrender. Time will tell on that one. Now here's one that blew a lot of people's minds. The next one we're going to be talking about, The Sentry, from Jeff Lemire, and this blew people's minds for a lot of reasons. One, the Sentry, huge fan character, hasn't had a series to himself since his original series. It's been a while. He disappeared. He fell off the face of the earth for a bit. They brought him back currently in Donny Cates' Doctor Strange. They're making him a big deal again. They're giving him a push. Also, Jeff Lemire writing, that's very interesting, because I assumed when Jeff Lemire was done his Old Man Logan run, he was done at Marvel, and he was going to go away. In fact, at DC right now, he's writing The Terrifics, which he straight up said in interviews, yeah, that was a Fantastic Four pitch I had that they wouldn't let me do. So now he's coming back to write Sentry. That's very interesting. if I had to bet money on what one of these miniseries I would think would become an ongoing, it would probably be this one. If I had to bet, I would say we're going to be seeing a lot of Sentry soon, because people freaking love the Sentry, man. They love him. I bet this is going to be a surprise. I bet this one is actually going to sell way more than you would think. Next up from there, we have Thor #1, again from Jason Aaron. Oh, you thought he was done. You thought his epic saga run was done with Jane Foster. Nope, we got a whole War of Realms we gotta deal with here, man. Also, big ups to the art choice for this one. Mike Del Mundo, they're reuniting the Weird World team for this one on art, and I think that's great. This is, of course, new Thor Odinson, new costume, assumedly new hammer. I guess that's a story they're going to have to tell. He's got his robot arm going on. Some great cover work we saw with this. It's Thor in kind of like a Mad Max Road Warrior setting with Loki and his other brother, Balder the Bright. So I'm like, ooh, is that an angle Jason Aaron's taking for this one? Are we reuniting the Odinson family? Are we reuniting the brothers? That's cool. That's cool. I'm interested in this, you know. Jason Aaron, again, one of the secret weapons at Marvel recently. The man has not disappointed, and I don't think he's going to start disappointing now. I think this is the perfect symbiosis of creator and art team. This is going to be a big one, I think. I think this one's going to blow everyone away. This is pretty darn interesting. From there, again, you know, from the big return of Thor, we have the big return of Tony Stark, Iron Man #1 via Dan Slott. Tony's coming back. He's back in a big way. Dan Slott says that we're going to see like some full techno thriller stories for Iron Man. He says he's taken a lot of inspiration from Black Mirror. Think that makes a lot of sense with Iron Man. Think that's going to be pretty cool, honestly. I know I fell off the Bendis bit there because it really did feel like by the end he was just handing in script notes and that he didn't care anymore. It'll be interesting to see what Slott can do with Iron Man, especially when we stop and consider, hey, his Spider-Man run, he basically tried to turn Peter Parker into Iron Man for a bit, so let's see him write Iron Man and see what he does. Next up from here, we have Venom #1. Also from Donny Cates. That's another thing you'll notice about Marvel Fresh Start. It's basically the same 5 guys writing everything, and I'd complain about that, but I like these 5 guys. Here's hoping they don't get overworked. Here's hoping they don't get overtaxed. Again, I really don't give a shit about Venom. I haven't given a shit about Venom in a very long time. But this is Donny Cates we're talking about here. He did amazing things for Thanos. He had that amazing indie series from a while ago that everyone loved to death. He's kind of been knocking it out of the park. He's kind of been bringing fresh, interesting takes to everything he's doing. Also, hey, this Venom is going back to the classic monster mouth, green slime, big tongue Venom that you remember. So I'm sure, just for that cover alone, I'm sure that first issue is going to sell a lot. I will give it a shot. I don't know if I will stay with it, but I will definitely look into it. But yeah, that's Venom, everyone. And the last one we're looking at right here as we finish going down the alphabet, we have X, and that is X-23. Yes, Laura Kinney, she had a great run as Wolverine, but now we know from reading Infinity Countdown, Logan's back and will assumedly be reclaiming his mantle as Wolverine soon, which is funny because again, this is one of the very few ongoing X-Men books they've announced. They haven't said what's going on with the other X-Men books, but yeah, she's back to X-23. And that's fine, I guess. Everything in comics is circular, everything comes back. I think I would be more excited for this if only she got to keep the Wolverine costume, because that costume is dope as hell that she had. I'm not mad she went back to being X-23. I just wish she kept the costume. This is from Mariko Tamako. I think I'm saying that right. I'm trying not to butcher her name. She wrote the last She-Hulk run, which I really enjoyed the first volume of. And then it felt like it should have had an ending, and it didn't have an ending, and it just kept going, and it was protracted. Hope we're not going to see any of that. It's going to be hard to let Tom Taylor go, because Tom Taylor was doing such an amazing job on the all-new Wolverine book. It's clear he really cared about Laura. He really cared about Honey Badger as characters. At least he kind of gets to say his goodbye. And I think, again, unless they announce in the next couple days that they're completely reworking the X-Men books, he's still going to be writing X-Men Red, and he's still going to be writing X-23 over in that book. I wonder how that's going to change. Wonder how that's going to change moving forward. But I'm not reading my X-Men book. When I say I wonder how that's going to change, I wonder when people tell me how that's going to change. But yeah, everyone, so that's all the titles for Marvel Fresh Start. And by and large, it's a pretty good list. A lot of fan favorites in there, a lot of return to forms that a lot of people were asking for or yelling for in many cases. I don't really have much reason to complain on this one. I'm probably going to give most of these a look. I like that a lot of them are miniseries. I like that, you know, they're not committing to a full run just yet. They're doing more of a wait and see kind of thing on it. But yeah, so that's Marvel Fresh Start. That's my quick little guide to it. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, be sure to tell me down in the comment section below, what new book are you most excited to see for Marvel Fresh Start? And until then, everyone, this has been Cape Joel. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and I will be back again next time. Bye-bye.